Hello there, and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about how you can use Mastodon for genealogy, and also just using Mastodon in general. So hello everyone, and welcome to my presentation, Mastering Mastodon, another tool in a genealogist toolbox. And let's get started. So the points that I'm going to mainly cover in this presentation is going to be kind of, how you set up an account on it. You might be kind of wondering, where do I start? Because I found with Mastodon that the kind of more difficult part was kind of the initial sign up stage and just kind of weave my way around it. I'm also going to kind of mention a couple of ways of how you can connect with others on Mastodon, how you can use it once you set up an account, how to use the features on it, and also where it can be accessed in terms of what apps you can use and whether it can be a web app or whatnot. So I suppose Mastodon is a kind of not-for-profit social media network, which is free open source software for running self-hosted services. It's been here a number of years, so it started in March 2016. It has some similarities to Twitter, so I know that some people are wondering, if it can be recreated or the community can be recreated on Twitter, because obviously, as you know, I'm a big promoter for using Twitter for genealogy, and it with what's happened in recent times, it's a question of can it be recreated and can it be just as good or even better? So the pros and cons of Mastodon as a platform. So as I said, it's a not-for-profit. So kind of there are no advertising entities. So we all get sick on Facebook and Twitter of, seeing ads on and off and every 2 or 3 posts that we scroll by. And with Mastodon, that doesn't happen. There are bots for, publications. I know you have like the New York Times, you have a couple of other entities that are on there, but you can choose whether you want to see bits from them by following them like any other social network. Another good thing is it is quick to respond to account and content flagging. I will go into this later, but with the 2 experiences I've had so far, and I've only been on it a week, it has been quite, we'll say, productive, or that's probably not the best word, but it's a word I'll use, but it's probably the kind of best social network that I've seen that, deals with, inappropriate content or, just fake accounts. It also has an increased character limit per post. So on Twitter, it has 280 characters. On Mastodon, it has 500. So you can obviously add more in a post that way. And I found it helps because sometimes on Twitter, I'll end up doing a thread, but it'll only be 2 tweets, and I could probably fit almost all of what I wanted to say in one post on Mastodon. The only con of Mastodon that I've come across is that it can be quite finicky sometimes to use, and some things can only be done on the web version of Mastodon as well. It's only certain things, but I have to mention that as well, because what's the pros and cons list without, well, at least one con. But anyway, so how you can set up an account on Mastodon. Now, the images that you see on the right-hand side is from the official Mastodon app for iOS. Now, any kind of mobile screenshots are from my phone, which is an iPhone. So I can't really give a Android device point of view on things. So when you are introduced to Mastodon, when you go into the app and you hit sign up, you're greeted with a ton of servers or instances, as they are also called. And you're trying to figure out, which one should I go for? And these are probably the best where you can go, and that's looking at the list of servers. And I have a link to the Mastodon's website where you can see all the list of all available servers, and you can filter by ones that speak English, ones that speak French, German, and also just no, I can't again. And also just kind of any servers that might be of interest, whether there's one that on a particular topic that you might want to look into. But of course, with my experience, it doesn't matter necessarily kind of what server you join. The one that I joined and a number of genealogists joined is toot.community. And at the moment that when I joined, it used to be anyone can join, but now it's kind of, you just have to request an invite to be allowed in, which is fine. You just enter your email address, the handle that you want to take, and a password, and then you just kind of hit the request an invite, and the moderator or the manager of the instance will review it, and then subsequently, accept or deny. And obviously you just choose a display name, and that's for that. And how you can connect with others. Now, hashtags, we all see them on Twitter. I tend to look under the hashtags like genealogy, family history, ancestry, and just to see what content is on there, because there might be a blog post I'm interested in, someone asking for help. A number of times I see that. But with Mastodon, there's a heavier reliance on them. So it's one of the primary ways that you will find people, and that people will find you and find related content as well. So some hashtags that can be used are Geneadons, which is Geneadons, genealogy, family history, and if you're into history, histodons or history, they're basically, the hashtags have a higher importance than Twitter might have. Another thing is the Genealogist directory, which was started by genealogist Mish Holman. And the links to that, if you do join Mastodon, I'd recommend you fill that directory form out. The form and the spreadsheet are in the handout, which you can take a look at. And it'll allow you to see how big the community is on Mastodon across many different instances. You, of course, have the URL, which I'll mention later, and the Academics on Mastodon GitHub repository. As I do not have a slide on this, I'll explain what that is. So it was a repository of essentially loads of communities. So you could have psychology, political science, history, genealogy has been added. And there's just a massive list of just Google Sheets and other things that are relating to kind of any interest that you might have. But 9 times out of 10, there might be something there that you might be interested in. So that as well is on the handout. So the first part I want to mention is how finding other people on Mastodon. So to find people on Mastodon, you have to understand how the username style works. So this is mine, as you can see. So the underlined green is the username I chose when I signed up, which is the Daniel's Genealogy. The gold underline is the domain or address of the instance or server that you joined. So the one I joined was toot.community. So for that, you have, if you share, so when you're on Mastodon, you've signed up. When you're searching for someone, if they share the same instance as you, so if they share the same address as the gold underline, you have, you don't necessarily have to type in the full handle, because you only need the first part, because you share the same instance as them. But if you don't, you need to include the handle and the instance. So the next way is finding other people using a URL. So to do this, you type in a username in the search bar in the format, the HTTPS, and the instance dot extension followed by the username. So for example, my one, if you type that in, you'd be able to find me. And that goes for anyone. You just need the handle and the domain. But you might kind of think, well, if I have the username, the green and gold underline, how can I possibly, you know, find them if the method of just adding in their username doesn't work? And it's pretty simple to figure out, you know, what the URL for that one is. So you do the HTTPS and then the : 2//, and all you need to do is just invert almost the instance. So it'd be HTTPS to.community. So that would go first, and then the username would go afterwards, which would give you to.community / that's whoever. And that's how you find them through the URL. So now you've signed up. You're probably going to think, okay, this is a new interface. What does any of it do? So this is an example of a post that you would see. And in this case, it was me sharing this talk. And as you can see, there are a number of buttons. So it looks similar to Twitter. You had the picture, the display name, the handle, the time when it was posted, the caption, and you can always hide the image. If you just want to see the caption, you can just hide it. And then you have these buttons down here. So from left to right, you have the reply, you have the boost, you have the favorite, the share, and options. And options here is what you have when you click on the 3 dots. So you can expand this post to just kind of focus on this one post on its own. You've copy link to post if you want to share it on other platforms. Embed if you want to get the code to embed it in a website or something. The bookmarks, so like Twitter, you can bookmark tweets and come back to them later at a later time. Pin on profile, so like Twitter, again, you've the pinned tweet, but on Mastodon, you can have 2 pinned posts. You can mute the conversation. So if you have a lot of activity and you just want to kind of turn off all activity or notifications coming in about that post, you can easily mute it. And then you just have the plain old delete. But like Twitter, you have the delete and redraft button. Now, I really like this because I've tried it myself. I remember making a post and on my phone, and the autocorrect changed it to something else, changed one of the words, so the sentence didn't make sense. So I can hit delete and redraft, and it doesn't completely delete the post. It deletes it, drafts up what you already had in it, make any changes, and then you can post it again. So you don't have to worry about trying to redo a very long post. Now, what I will say is, when you deleted it and redrafted it, any responses that may have been on it already will be disconnected and basically lost in the ether. So just be aware of that as well. So now the next screenshot here is a showing of how the web interface looks. So you have your kind of little profile picture over here, and you can click that, and that will take you to your profile. You have the post composition box. So this is kind of where you do your post. The navigation menu on the right-hand side, and down here is sort of like little trending. The green, the elements circled in, or the elements highlighted in green will be discussed later. And the first one is the composition box. So when you're typing out a post, there are a number of things you can do. So you have the emojis that you can add in, that's saying the character count. You have the attach files, so you can add an image or a video, add a poll, like Twitter. You have privacy settings. So for this, you have public. You have a number of them. So you have the public option, so visible for all. You have the unlisted one, which means that you make them public, but they're opted out of discovery features. So I believe that means that you can't boost them. Followers only. So you can, if there's a post you just want to only your followers to see, you can turn that setting on. And then you have mention people only. Now, if you saw on the past slide, you might have seen that there's a option to view your direct messages. The mention people only option is how you start a direct message on that. So if I was going to type out a post that I wanted to send to John, I would tag John and change the privacy setting to mention people only. So only me and John can see the conversation. The next thing is the content warning. So this might be handy if you know, that if you were sharing a sensitive topic, or you might, I know one person has done it already for Wordle. If you're into Wordle, you can select just content warning and just say, hashtag Wordle or Wordle scores for today or something. That's just an example. I don't do Wordle, but anyway, it has a number of uses. And then you have the language of the post. And then obviously the big blue button is to send the post. And the next thing I'll talk about is the menu. So this essentially will give a sum up of all the buttons and what they do. So you have the home, which just the content from people that you follow. And that's the brilliant thing. You won't get who you follow is all you will see. You won't see kind of stuff from a promoted post or anything like that. It's just who you follow is all that you'll see in your timeline. The next thing is the notification, self-explanatory. The Explorer is to see trending posts across the whole entire Mastodon network that have their privacy settings on to public. And the next one is local. So my instance is toot.community. So any kind of, the local timeline is just seeing posts in toot.community from all the users that are on it. The federated timeline, which is the next one down, I stuck in the definition because I was going to try and come up with an explanation, but I felt that the one in the bottom right-hand corner was probably just easier to leave in. The next one is the seeing composed messages with the direct messages button, as I mentioned earlier. Favorites to see posts that you favorited or liked. So I'm pretty sure I do mention it later, but I'll mention it now just in case. The only way that people will see your posts is if you boost them. So the slide, the image from a couple of slides ago had the boost button, and that is essentially the Mastodon version of retweet, and that is how people see posts. Sometimes on Twitter, if you like a tweet, you'll see, that so-and-so liked this tweet, and that's why you're seeing it. But the only way another person will see a post is if you boost it. The bookmarks to see posts that you bookmarked. I do recommend doing that for any handy posts that you see. Otherwise, they might get pushed down and you're then trying to think, where is it gone? And then you're just scrolling and scrolling, trying to find it again. The next thing is the preferences, which I will go into later. And the last one is to see who you're following and who's following you. So the follows and the followers. The next thing is, now, before I go into this, one thing that I think people might miss is the fact that on Twitter you can quote tweet. But I came up with a little term that I like to call quote posting. So quote posting is essentially the Mastodon version of quote tweeting, because all you're doing when you're quote tweeting is you are embedding a link into your tweet for something that you're sharing and adding your own comment to. So you can do the exact same thing on Mastodon without, the only thing it won't have is just sort of the little picture of the image, little picture of the tweet or the display of the tweet. So you can easily do this by just typing out a post on Mastodon, and then you go to the post. Now, the top half is the instructions if you're doing it on the web version. The bottom is if you're doing it on the mobile version. So you just go to the post, click on the time posted, copy the link, and paste it into the post you want to send. And then by doing that, if someone clicks on the link in the post, it'll take them to the one that you're talking about, therefore the Mastodon version of quote tweeting. The next one, obviously, it's just the same thing as for the mobile, just hitting a few different buttons. And as I mentioned earlier, Mastodon has a no-nonsense approach to kind of, taking down inappropriate content, and that's the reporting. So those are just the instructions of how you report something. And I added in a little tip at the bottom. So if the account that you're reporting is on an instance that is different to you, when you're reporting it, there is an option to forward it to their native instance. So if I'm coming up with two random ones here, but if you say the offending tweet was coming to me, which is on Twitch.community, and the person was on Mastodon.social, if you hit forward to Mastodon.social, it'll send a copy of the report you're sending to your own instance, but to their instance as well, so that they can take action as well. So one thing I'll say is there was a bot account that responded to a post of mine or someone's post that I was tagged in on, and I reported it. And within 15 minutes, the offending account was taken down immediately and suspended. So it is very prompt in taking action when it comes to inappropriate content. As well, there was another instance where there was a bot account made impersonating something else in the genealogy community, and then that was taken down within probably, I think it happened while I was asleep, so probably an hour or so, maybe, I don't know. But you just choose the reason, you add the posts that are the offending ones, and then you submit the report. Next thing was the preferences menu. So the top half, so when you click the preferences button that was on the menu on the main interface, you have these options. So the profile, which is edit your profile, change your profile picture, header, bio, etc. If people are using the Mastodon official app, you cannot change the header through the app. You can change your profile picture, but you can't change the header. You can do it, obviously, on a browser, whether that's on a browser, on your mobile device, or on a tablet, or you can change it on your computer. The preferences, which is the accessibility settings and dialog boxes. Excuse me. Next one is the follows and followers. So you can see who's following you, whom you're following, and any mutual connections. Filtering, so you can choose not to see any posts with a certain word in it, or a phrase or a hashtag. So you can filter your timeline using that facility. If you're someone who doesn't like their posts being on their page for long, you can set up post deletion. So after X amount of time, it'll delete any posts older than that. You can import and export your data. So import Excel sheets of whom you're following and blocking. Invite people to your instance on Mastodon. So if you had a friend that you wanted to bring on, you can use that facility to invite them onto your instance. And then if you're into coding or something, the development menu, I'm not entirely sure what that is, I will admit. That's probably for a developer. encoding or some similar things. And then you obviously hit the log out button at the bottom. And I just want to say, when I was making this, I got a lot of help from some people, be it on Mastodon or Twitter. And this is just some help from Mastodon Genealogist. So Steve Jackson's tweet on the top left talks about how you can create lists similar to Twitter, but how you can create lists on Mastodon. The next one was Jane's, who was talking about the delete and redraft function I was talking about. And the one on the right is Steve Little's, where he was talking about the Genealogist's genealogy list that Mish Holman started, how you can import the data in that and follow people on that list on your own account on Mastodon. Next, the other one was this tweet from a Wales instance on Mastodon. And some people do wonder, oh, well, what if the server suddenly goes kaput? Will we be told? But this server, it said, if you use one of the servers listed on the joinmastodon.org website, that link is actually in the handout, by the way. They have to give 3 months notice so that you can move your profile to another instance if the one you're on decides to close down. Now, if you're wondering, how can I access it on my phone? Or these are some apps that you can use. So you've MetaText. This is the one I use and MetaText. By the way, all these apps are free. But with MetaText, it's similar to Twitter. The interface, it makes it look like Twitter, like you're using it, because you can see, whose tweet is replying to whose. Because I find on the web interface, it's just all stuck in one chunk, and then you're trying to figure out who's this post replying to and what one. But with MetaText, it obviously has the little line connecting one post to the other. So you can easily tell where the conversation's headed and where it started. Tusky is the Android version. And then you have the official Mastodon app. I did use that one for a while. Personally not a fan, but that is up to all of your own investigation. And some other things I'd also like to highlight is the posts work. So I got this little graphic from Wikimedia. So the little purple oval, the public post, this flowchart will kind of basically answer any questions that you kind of have, how can people see it? Where can I see it? So another thing, so I did put it in. I promise I did revise. I promise I did revise these before I did this. But anyway, so if you favorite a post, it won't influence what others see. Someone will see your post if you are following someone or if you boost a post. And one thing I would like to emphasize, because I know some people might be quite heavy posters, myself included, is that when you're posting, every post is sent to each follower that you have. So I think I'm up to 260 something followers. So whatever I tweet goes out to 260 odd people. And if people retweet, or I keep saying retweet, if people boost that post, then that post will be seen by that person and so on and so forth. And if you are on the same instance as the poster, but you aren't following them, you will see it in the local timeline. Right. And some more things is if you're signing into Mastodon, make sure to type into the search bar the instance you joined as, because it won't log you in if you type in the wrong, forgot a word, if you type in the wrong instance. So as I gave in the example below, if I signed up with toot.community, it won't allow me in if I go under lore.sh. So you have to make sure that you're going into the right one if you're signing in on the web version. And another thing is, it can have errors. You know, it's a newly growing platform in recent times. So, you know, if you're getting server errors, it's just a case of be patient, because it will need time to kind of get better. And obviously there might be server issues on one end, or it might just be connection issues or any other sort of things. And another thing is, whatever you post, be it a photo or be it a video, it is hosted on the server that you are on. So what I saw someone recommend was, if you upload the video to like YouTube or something, but just have it on the unlisted option, you are physically linking. So you're not kind of uploading media to that server, and therefore kind of, you know, adding more kind of, not so much strain, but just kind of adding more work for it to host it. And apart from that, thank you all for listening. So I hope this presentation has given you all a fair idea of kind of how you can use it, and how, and although I didn't mention a lot, kind of hopefully a idea of what direction you can take to interact with the genealogy community that lives on Mastodon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on the following platforms listed below. And thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.